When I'm in the supermarket, there are lots of things that now have labels on them saying that they're great for gut health or they're low sugar or they're low fat. I brought everything that I could find in the supermarket that was making a claim that it was good for me. And I want you to take a look at it. These are some of the most popular things that people pick up in the supermarket that make these claims that they're low sugar, low fat, high protein, great for gut health. So the first one I've got here is Actimol, which says it's got vitamin D, B6. It's great for immune support. 0 added sugar, 0% fat, rich in vitamin D. That, Tim Spector, is definitely healthy.
Or not. So, these claims, some of these claims they're allowed to put on the packet, they're very restricted what they can actually say in terms of health it can do, date back 30 years and no longer really valid, but they have to do it because they're not allowed to even mention the word probiotic on a packet, interestingly. So they're trying to attract you in with things that would resonate with the consumer. So they do these massive surveys to saying what's going to resonate with you, Steve, when you go into a shop, and you say, what's going to make me buy this rather than one of the other ones. And so vitamin D, we've been flogging vitamin D for forever. 10 minutes in the sun will get you all the vitamin D you need. And it's in most foods anyway. You don't really need it in addition in these things. 0% added sugar and 0% added fat mean that it's highly processed. So the combination of health, what we call health halos, saying it's super healthy with rich in this vitamin, no sugar, no fat, is very old-fashioned science. No one believes that 0 fat is any good for you anymore. And there's some actual data showing that low-fat foods actually make you overeat.
Really?
Yes.
What does the data say?
So when they've compared sort of identical meals to people in lab conditions, those eating the low-fat foods, the high-carb but high-processed foods like this, will actually overeat substantially over the next day or so. So it's actually making you overeat quite significantly. So, and there's no advantage to your body in terms of heart health by having this, because to get 0 fat and make it taste good, it's got to have lots of extra sugars and starches in there. Otherwise, you just couldn't eat it. Fat is really important naturally to make you enjoy food. Mm-hmm. And so it takes a lot of careful chemistry to mimic that fat. So I would always avoid anything that said, 0 sugar, 0 fat, rich in vitamins, despite the fact that this probably has something good probiotics in it. Mm-hmm. So you're getting the good probiotics. It's only one, lactobacillus, but that's counteracted by all this negative stuff, all these chemicals, which we know are bad for your gut microbiome. So that's not going to be good for you, or it's not going to be good for me either. So I would avoid that one. Always go for any yogurt that really has minimum contents, just milk and microbes. That's all you need.
Can you bring me the bin? This is going in the bin. I'm going to just drop that in the bin. I did scan it on the Zoe app as well, and my relationship to it was about 35, which is not
a health food.
Which is not a health food. What about this? This is definitely healthy, Dr. Tim Spector. Activia. Deliciously good for your gut health. Okay, so I know this one's going to be good. What else does it say? We believe that a happy gut is a happy you. When you love your gut, it loves you back. It sounds like you wrote it. What else? What other claims does it make? We ferment our unique blend of 5 active strains for up to 8 hours. So every little pot is packed with billions of live cultures. Loving the planet to love our gut. Activia. Great for the gut. Healthy.
Well, so far, everything looks good, doesn't it? But let's have a look and see what extra things they've added to it, which is always hard to find in packets. You often need a microscope to see them. So for it to be good, it just needs microbes and milk. And that makes yogurt. You just change the temperature, that's what you get. So here we've got lots of ingredients. We've got flavorings, we've got concentrates, we've got a bit of carrot for some reason, we've got lemon juice, we've got stabilizers, we've got tapioca starch, we've got sugars, and it claims to have strawberries, although when they last were picked from the earth, I'm not quite sure. So it's not as bad as the other one, but basically we're looking at a highly processed product that has many chemicals you don't really want in your gut because they will counteract the good effect of the gut microbes. Slightly better than the other one, but I would still not eat it myself.
Okay. And the fact that it's processed, does the fact that it's processed alone make it a bad food? Or is it because the process of processing causes a loss in the good stuff and addition of a lot of bad stuff? When we say because this word processed foods has become just like a blanket term. So in my brain, I go, if it's processed, it has to be bad. But is that accurate?
Well, we need to separate virtually all the food that we eat, and I eat as well, is processed.
Yeah.
But we need to separate that from ultra processed. So plain yogurt, nothing added, nothing, changed, is processed because you're mixing a basic ingredient, milk, with microbes. You're actually creating something. That's processing. But it's when you take it to the next stage and you would make that same product from, say, milk powder, and then you would add various starches and stabilizers, emulsifiers, concentrates, artificial sweeteners, flavorings, that same yogurt becomes ultra processed. And it's that extra step that is the main problem. Nothing wrong with processed food. Cheese is processed. There's nothing wrong with that. Most of the foods we eat some have had salt added or oil added or something like that. But it's when it's chemicals that you don't find in your kitchen being added to foods that have been stripped of all their goodness. So they wouldn't just use cow's milk. It would be, dried extract of casein, or you wouldn't take wheat. It would be the stripped out inner part of that wheat, and then that's temperature treated to melt it and change its composition. And to put these things back together, you need all these glues, like these emulsifiers, you need stabilizers, you need flavorings, sweeteners, colorants, all these extra things to make it look like food again. So I think we shouldn't be calling ultra-processed food. That's a misnomer. We should call them, edible food-like substances that are industrially made. And if we start to realize the difference between these, we can start to make smart food choices. We now know that many of these ingredients, there's been lots of, even research since we last talked about, first things like aspartame has come out which is an artificial sweetener, has been linked to many health problems, including increased risk of cancers and heart disease. We've got emulsifiers have come out recently in a number of studies to show that they affect mental health and they also affect heart disease, even when you adjust for the whole diet and you take just that component of the food. So we know that ultra-processed foods are probably the worst things we're doing for our diets. And in the UK, the average person is saying about 60% of all their food is ultra-processed without knowing about it. We're eating 4 times more than healthy European countries who are often poorer than us. So it's not just a question of money. It's just become this battle of us poor consumers against these massive companies with billions of pounds to spend on marketing that have told us this stuff is healthy because of these fake health halos, vitamins, no sugar, no this, no fat, confusing the consumer, and all the time giving us foods that not only give us disease, but importantly make us overeat. So we pick that stuff. Doesn't matter. It says just even if it's just low fat, or it's got lots of other chemicals, both make you overeat by a quarter. So you'll be hungrier after eating that than you would be if you had a completely plain yogurt with none of those extra chemicals in it.
Okay. So I've got 3 different drink-like foods here. I've got my Oasis Citrus Punch. On this one, it says natural flavorings and real fruit. So that must be healthy. Real fruit.
If it says real fruit on it, you should be very suspicious. Okay, that's the first thing to look at it. And natural flavors, that really means nothing. And this is, natural is a great word, means nothing medically, scientifically, but it's been a buzzword for me, getting people to buy stuff. So basically this is a mixed blend of citrus fruits, which means the mixtures of all kinds of different fruit extracts that's combined with sugar and artificial sweeteners. They're, again, highly processed fruits. They're not fresh fruits. And it's got a mixture of those. It's got citric acid. It's got sugar, orange flavorings. It's got stabilizers, polyphosphates, glycerol esters. It's got, looks like wood resins, acidity regulators, preservatives. It's got some potassium sorbate, potassium benzoate. It's got the sweeteners aspartame and ACE-K.
Aspartame is what you were just talking about, right?
Yes,
aspartame.
That's the one that WHO have just put on their warning list. So yes, it's packed with things that you wouldn't expect if you just squeezed a bit of juice in and thought it was healthy. So this is a good example of a totally fake, ultra-processed food that makes it look like it's real fruit and is going to be healthy for you. And it is just a mix of chemicals that's just going to mess up your gut microbes and make you feel hungrier.
Okay, but this one here, this Philadelphia, says light. So it says 100% of the taste, but 40% less fat. So Philadelphia light, surely that's good.
Well, it's got cheese in it. It's often have this. We did do some tests on this a while ago. It does have microbes in it. If it's low in fat, they've generally added something else to increase the mouthfeel. And indeed, we see here it's got stabilizers, it's got emulsifiers, all these things that we know have effects on your gut microbes, make you hungrier, and can affect your heart as well. So, yeah, I would avoid that one.
What do we have to... I've got a few last things for you there. What do we have to look out for on the packaging of these products? Because interestingly, the one you have in your hand, the bar there, the snack bar, on the back of it, they do admit that it's a little bit processed. They actually, there's a sentence on the back of it. I'll read out. It says, I was reading it as you said it. It says, well, clearly it would be wrong for us to claim that everything in this bar is 100% natural and simply grows on trees. Obviously, some ingredients need to be cleaned, dried, and roasted too, and therefore to some extent processed. It's just that we believe the less we mess with it, the better it tastes. That's why we never add any artificial flavors or colors or any preservatives.
Yeah,
well, eat natural bar. I mean, ingredients.
That's a good thing to say. It's quite hard to produce some of these snack bars without having things to stick it together or gums.
Glucose syrup, soya protein, Crispies, isolate, tapioca starch, salt, dates, almonds, salted caramel, Muscovado sugar, buttermilk powder, natural flavorings, cream powder, milk, rice, flour, carbo flour, and salt.
Yeah, it doesn't, when you read it out like that, it doesn't sound quite as natural as the label suggests, does it? Because you've just got all these ingredients that are, again, half of them you wouldn't find in your kitchen. And it's partly to protein packed. If you just need the nuts and the seeds, you wouldn't have to add in all this other stuff from soy and other beans and things, which are ultra processed. They're just taking that bit of it, combining it together. So some of these are better than others, but again, this is ultra processed, and all these snacks, interestingly, are really often the downfall in places like the US and the UK, where we're just eating so much our our energy is coming from these snacks, which wasn't the case 20 years ago.
So on that point of snacking, is snacking good or bad, and what impact does that have on the overall nutritional profile of an individual? Because a lot of people snack, right? Nearly everybody snacks.
I think that's right. Over 90% of people snack. So it's become normal to snack. In this country, in the US, it is the norm. It's not the norm in other countries. So you can see much less snacking habits in Southern Europe than you do here, and much less in many Asian countries as well.
A Zoe study found that 95% of people were snackers.
Yes.
And 25% of people are undoing the benefits of healthy meals by unhealthy snacking.
Yeah, so 95% of people we found in that Zoe study are snackers, and most of them are unhealthy. So just by reaching for a snack, unless you're really careful, you're going to be having not only extra calories, but unhealthy calories that's going to undo many of the good things you're eating. So we found in the Zoe survey that people would be really focusing on their main meal, saying, this is a really healthy meal, I'm having plenty of plants and vegetables, but, oh, well, I've got to have my snack. And so they'd be undoing all that good by having something that would then, a couple of hours later, really upset their metabolism and make them hungrier, and so mess up the idea and make them hungrier. So in the UK and the US, it's around a quarter of our calories come from snacks. If we were able to even to reduce that a bit, or just change that snack to a healthy one, or ideally move that snacking time to the meal itself, most of these would be much less harmful if you had them at the end of your meal, when your body is, starting to do all this work, breaking down the food, is gearing up for this high activity. Virtually all the snacks that people have late in the evening are bad for you. And that's because you're getting a sugar spike just before going to bed. Your body's not ready for it. Your gut microbes are not ready for it. It doesn't give them a rest. And so you actually end up hungrier the next day. So we're starting to realize that it's not just the food. And we've seen that most of these snacks are very unhealthy, going to make you hungrier. But the timing of it also messes up your circadian rhythms. So you're not recovering. And the next day you're going to feel hungrier than you were if you didn't snack. So it's like counterintuitive. You think, oh, if I have something before I go to bed, I'm not going to be as hungry tomorrow. And this is what many people get into, this common mistake. So we need to start changing people's attitude in this snack epidemic about snacks, and say, you don't need them. And if you do, have healthy ones. And, nuts and seeds and fruit are perfectly healthy ones. And we showed in our study, which we published recently, that people who do have those healthy snacks are really hardly any extra risk of health problems compared to those that people don't snack, as long as it's not late at night. So if you eat within that sort of normal eating window, and some people are natural snackers. I don't know if I'm not, but I know many of my colleagues at Zoe can't go 2 or 3 hours without eating. They really find it hard. But just by thinking more about that snack and saying, well, I know I've got this tendency, I'm going to eat something that's healthy.
Like nuts or something?
Yeah, just a handful of mixed nuts, an apple, a pear, something that's not super sugary or super fat, but importantly, not ultra processed, not something that's got this health halo that says, eat me, I've got high in protein, I'm going to, eat me and you'll get bigger muscles. No, eat me and you'll get fatter.
Those health halos then, what are, just so we've summarized them, low fat is a health halo, you're saying, no sugar, real fruit, trying to remember all the ones.
Extra vitamins.
Vitamin labeling on products. Natural flavorings, I think it said.
Yes.
One of the products. Are those the main ones? Have I missed any there?
I think we've covered, yeah. So claims about low fat, low sugar, nothing artificial.
High protein, I guess.
Natural.
Right.
High protein. Some would be gut friendly. Generally, they're warning signs that this food is to be avoided. Find something that doesn't need that health claim. You never see a whole a real food with a health claim. They don't need it. You got an apple, doesn't need a claim. Contains vitamins, contains fiber. Real foods don't need health labels.
I've had a confused relationship with bread. I look at bread, all bread, I think that's bad. This is cheating on my gut microbiome. Is that the truth? Is bread bad?
Most bread is bad. Most supermarket bread is ultra-processed sugar and contains many other chemicals you don't really want in you, makes you hungrier, and the general perception of the public is it's a healthy food. I found this myself when I started doing my glucose levels. Even brown breads were all over the place. There are some breads that I can eat in small amounts that are still healthy, things like rye breads, and if it's sourdough, that also improves it. But I think in general, we're eating far too much bread for most people. There might be some people who can support it, and that's why it's good to test your glucose responses to it. But most bread has too much sugar, not enough fiber, too many chemicals in it, and we should be looking to other things for our nutrition. Have it as a rare treat. Have it just when you go to a restaurant or whatever. But for most people, it's a real red flag for me.
The other red flag that shocked me was my relationship with white rice, because I'd grown up eating white rice and I thought white rice was a great thing to have after I'd been to the gym with some chicken. So whenever I saw white rice, I thought it was great. And then I looked on Zoe and I had a 15 out of 100 relationship with white rice. And I think my girlfriend had a 5 out of 100 relationship with white rice. So I no longer have white rice. I've swapped it out for, I think quinoa is usually what we have in the house now.
Well, nearly any grain is better than white rice. It's got more fiber, it's got more protein in it, it's got more nutrients in it. And rice is the most overrated food, I think, even more so than bread, because, people think it's healthier than, having potatoes or pasta. They associate it with healthy things because sometimes the rest of the meal is actually quite good. Mm-hmm. And, vegetable curries or whatever it is, often quite healthy. But the rice itself is really just sugar. And there's no, have it as a rare treat, but so many other grains you can have instead, quinoas, barley, oats, or even putting in lentils or legumes, beans instead of that rice, just makes it so much healthier.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.